Hello everyone, welcome back to the SAP Manufacturing channel. Today's video is related to the in-process inspection. It's the inspection type CO3. Basically, we will be doing an inspection during a production process. In this case, it's going to be a process order, so it's the PPI industry, but it's the same thing for the regular production order as well. Okay, basically, the in process is during the process and it's not necessarily related to stock. Okay, so this is the difference between this CO3 and the one that is performing the inspection when you already have done the GR or good receipt. Okay, so in this case, it's before that, is after the release of the process order and before the good receipt. Okay, let's jump in. Let's take a look at the business process flow. Basically, the in process, it's a process that will be during the manufacturing process. Okay, so we need to create first a process order. After the release of the process order, the inspection lot CO3 for inspection type CO3, if it's active in the material master, will be created automatically. So we jump into the second step there. It's inspection lot for the in process is created, right? It's automatically created. Then we go to regular results recording, QE51N, and from there we can jump into the QA11 to do the user's decision as usual. And then, of course, from the manufacturing perspective, the micro transaction should be used, right? Unless you're using other means like auto receipt. So you do that in the confirmation of the order, right? Or you can do by interfaces, for example, as well. Okay, so first of all, let's take a look at the material master that it's needed to use CO3 inspection type. Okay, let me take a look at the material master first. The product is this one, MPK 151515. And let me just select the quality management view. I have pre-selected my plant in this case. Remember that you can just select the plant and save as default settings. Okay, so you're always going to have this one until you change it, of course. Let's go to the inspection setup. Okay, basically this is the quality management view. Let's go to inspection setup. In this material, we have two inspection types, the CO3 and CO4. We will see in another video for the CO4, but this is the one we are interested in, let's say. An important thing to mention is that this is not stock relevant, right? As you may remember, there is a post-stock parameter here that it's not available, of course, because it's not possible to send anything to stock because you don't have a good receipt yet, right? When you're doing an in process, basically. If we jump to the ZO4, see, this is the post inspection stock option, and of course the handle unit, which is related to this one, right? Let's go to the ZO3 again. Okay, this is ZO3. There is no relationship with stock. Okay, so we say normally that this inspection type is non-stock relevant. Okay, it means that we don't need to do any movement. It's just a user decision, let's say, right, to close inspection lot, but not has no effects, let's say, no effect on moving materials. Okay, so there is no movement behind it. Okay, so in this case, we're going to be using standard configuration. It's just with a task list, right? We will inspect characteristics. Skips are allowed, right? However, normally we don't use right skip analysis for the in process because that's the purpose of the in process, right? You need to have some kind of control during the process, so you need to monitor that, right? Otherwise, if it's well, but anyway, I mean, you can do partial skips using skips instead of removing completely the in process, right? For example, if you have a parameter that is always right, there is no way it could be out of spec, then you shouldn't be doing it, right? You shouldn't be inspecting it because there is no risk, right? That's the purpose of the in process, right? You put parameters that you can have a chance to be out of spec, and that can cause the finished product, to be out of spec, right? So sometimes the pH, for example, during a process, right, it's not necessarily the same pH in the final product, right? Because you need to reach a pH before loading one raw material, which is pH sensitive, for example. So if the pH is not appropriate, then you cannot load that raw material. And then after loading that raw material, the chemical reactions will end up having another pH, right? Product with another pH. So keep in mind that the in process is not necessarily right the same as the finished product. Sometimes you do the same, right? The same inspection with the same parameters, just to be sure that you can stop, for example, a reaction, or you can stop a mixing, right? Because it's already in spec, something. Depending on the definitions, right, or what you need to achieve, definitely. Okay, so this is it, right? So this is the one of the master data that is needed. It has to be active and 03 active. And that's it. Let's jump to the second one. See, let's go to CO3 or 203. Let me put, you can use this one, right? Put in the recipe group of recipe counter or number, right? But you normally don't know that. So you can just use the material here. I put the material, D01, presenter. Okay. Here we have the recipe 0 with this recipe group, right? For this material with a lot of operations and phases. Remember, there is a specific video if you want to check out, right, related to how to create a master recipe. But basically here, what I would like to show you is where the QM, right, characteristics are attached, right? So we are not using, in this case, our inspection plan because the master recipe, okay, acts as it were a inspection plan, right? So inside the master recipe, we create one phase, or we can create an operation as well. As I mentioned in that video as well, you can create a specific operation with a QM if you want a QM resource, for example, here, right? And one phase to do the quality in process step, right? Or you can use any other, let's say, like this, any other phase to do an in-process inspection. For example, again, let's assume, for example, that before the adding certain raw materials, right, in this step, for example, 21st, instead of 21 or here, right, we can have a 21 for an inspection of pH, right, and then a 22 for the addition, okay, just for the addition of the raw material, one raw material. So that is the purpose of the in process as well, as I mentioned before. Sometimes it can be checking certain density. Normally they are very basic, let's say, parameters that you need to check and quickly check. Sometimes they are automated, right, completely. They are, for example, for to determine the temperature. Normally you will have already electronic device that will give you the temperature all the time, right? Monitoring all the time. Sometimes pH is also monitored all the time. And there are many parameters that can be monitored like that, right? There are electronic devices that lets you do that. But in some cases, you need to go to pick up a sample and do the testing, right? You take the temperature, you take the density, the appearance, right? How it looks. If it's already dissolved, it's already or pallescent, right? Depending on the definitions and specifications for the product that you are producing, right? Okay, so in this case, it's going to be a very simple case where we have only one inspection, in-process inspection. But again, you can have multiple ones depending on your requirements, on the business requirement, and depending on, of course, the material itself. Because you might have materials that you don't even need to do in-process inspection, right? And some of them you need to do multiple times, right? Or multiple, let's say, stages of a process, I would say, and also multiple times, okay, which is different. That's why we can use sample management, right, to take multiple times, or we can use the concept of inspection point. When we use sample management, is linked to inspection point anyway, okay? But we can have just inspection point that are not related necessarily with sample management. We will see that in details in another videos, okay? Because inspection point can be based on quantity or based on time, okay? So you can have one inspection time every half an hour or every 1 hour or every 500 kgs, okay? And so on. Okay, in this case, we're going to be doing just one for the sake of easy understanding this inspection type CO3, but we can have other videos if you want to know more about that, and you can just request it in the comments below. Okay, so we have the in process. Let me share with you other QM related activities, okay? Basically, we see here that we have just one in process, okay, which is the dust level that we need, but we might have more characteristic as well. Like I said, normally it's just a simple one, depending on the type of product you are producing, okay? If it's a pharmaceutical product, probably you will need to do much more, right? Sometimes in chemical, it's just some simple parameters. In this case, it's dust level. So you don't want to have too high levels of dust, right? Because you are overing, let's say, milling, for example, whatever, depending on the process you're doing. Okay, so let me go back. And the last point I want to show you is basically the QM data for the operation. Okay, here we're just indicating to the system that we want the recording view, the standard, default, I would say, single values and summarized results. And for the inspection point completion, we just want the automatic valuation based on inspection point definition. Okay, so this is the automatic way of proposing the accepted for the inspection point. Or rejected, of course, if it's out of a spec, definitely. Okay, so let's jump into the quickly creation of the process order so we can see that the inspection lot CO3 is created automatically. Okay, this is basically the last master data that it's critical to set up, okay, in order to get the inspection CO3 inspection type created or inspection lot created for this inspection type, of course. Okay. Even though this is an integration, we will see from the QM perspective. So I want to save some time and already starting the creation of a process order. Okay. Basically, I want to show you this tab here, which is called assignment. In the segment view, you will have the inspection lot for the in process when it's created. Okay. So it's still not created. As you can see, there is a zero there. Okay. Which is that kind of a default value for that field. So nothing shows up there, okay, yet. So let me do very quickly the release of the order. Okay, I want to show you that even if I create this order, first of all, okay, let me do it just to, for the sake of testing this, okay, and showing you exactly the point, right? So this is the order. Let me just double click, and I'm gonna be saving this for later use. Here, the sticky note. Perfect. So I'm gonna go to, I need to edit anyway because it's 62, yes. I need to still release it, okay? But just wanted to share with you that there is no inspection lot yet, okay? For this product. Actually, we'll do the following thing as well. We are going to the QA 32, QA 32, okay, the work list, okay, for inspection lots. We can do a lot of stuff from there if we want. We're going to select only without using decision, and I will put the material so we can focus only on that one, okay. Looks like we do have some for other from other testing, okay, but please disregard these ones, okay, and let's see for the new ones that will be created, okay. Let me go back. Sorry, let me go back to this one. Okay, I'm gonna release the order. Batch termination. Okay, 45 days. Classifying the batch, the final batch, and release carry out. And you can see there is a inspection lot assigned. Okay, let me save it. I mean, I'm saving the order, right? That has just been released. And of course, we have that inspection lot created. Okay, let's go to this one, and we should see another three inspection lot. Refresh. And we have the new one, right? Which is this one, 51, as you can see. Okay, so this is the one that we have just created. So let me, yes, inspection lot. Let me copy the inspection lot here. Note that it's starting with 3 because of a CO3 inspection type. See, origin is production. The status is released and calculated. I mean, calculated means the sample was calculated. We can see that. Okay, here you have the link of the order, okay, to the order. The quantity, the sample has been calculated, as we said, right? The specifications, basically, this is the master recipe, okay? Because as you can see, the group is master recipe, right? A group counter, as you can see. So there is no quality inspection plan here, right? It's a master recipe. Let me go there, and you can see it's a master recipe, okay? This is important to remember. The master data needed for the in-process is within the master recipe. So it's fully integrated with PP, okay? Production planning and control. Okay, so we have the inspection lot. We checked that already, right? So now we can jump to the next step, which is the regular step in QM, which is results recording and usage decision. Okay, we will do that again anyway, right? But keep in mind that this is pretty much standard. This was the key thing for the in process. Okay, the master data needed in the way they interact each other. Okay, so we're looking at the inspection lot created uh, out of the process order. Okay, and it will happen the same thing if we are writing regular production, okay, discrete manufacturing, and using the production order instead of a process order. It's going to be the same thing in terms of, but instead of the master recipe, we will use the routing, right, to put the QM master data in. We need to use only operations in that case, okay? We cannot put QM characteristics inside, let's say, phases, okay? So we have less tools, let's say, to do that, but we can still create more than one operation if we want. Okay, we will have another video probably for discrete manufacturing, also showing you that if you want. Excellent. Okay, let's jump into the QE51N for resource recording. This is a work list as well, remember. So we can DC1. This is the plant. Execute. So we do have some work to do here. Let me just cancel this one. It's opening the first one by default. We can change that if we want, but just let me focus on these 351. 351, right? This is the one. Okay. So remember that this is the inspection lot level, right? Then you have the phase or operation, depending on the situation, right? Remember that I mentioned that we can add more phases and more characteristics, right? Or you can do the same inspection, right, at different points, let's say. So you can have that situation as well, even though the specification range might vary, as I mentioned before, because of chemical reasons, right? Because the pH is raising, for example, or lowering, etc., right? Okay, so you click on the sample. In this case, we're using sample management. Okay, we want to have a specific video for sample management because we can do more stuff. Okay, but just for the sake of this video, it's just to show you the CO3 inspection type, creating inspection lots starting with three, right? And this is the purpose of this video anyway. Otherwise, the videos are getting really, really longer. Okay, so let's put some, I don't know, zero point 0.4, right? It's going to be in spec. We want a maximum, right? In this case, maximum percentage of dust level, let's say. Just presenter here. So remember the changes in the status, right? Three has been evaluated. When it's evaluated, you see this accepted or the X, the cross red, let's say X, which is rejected, okay? Automatically proposed, of course. You can also evaluate from here, or you can define that it's automatically evaluated. Just want to share with you one thing. User settings. We can do this by configuration, or we can do this by user. Okay. When your own user will be saved with the information you define here. Okay. So you can say, for example, close on continuing. Mean if I continue for the next, right, it will close. In this case, it will not. Okay, inactive. And if I put here, it will do it, right? And if I put here is the default at the plant settings. Okay, so we need to check at the plant settings what we have defined, and we leave the system to behave as it was set up in the plant settings. But again, you can change this right to your need to meet your needs, yeah, and this is by user. Okay, so in this case, this was close and continue was inactive, therefore it's not closing it until I close it. Okay. The same happened with navigating. If you continue navigating, you will close everything. Okay. And of course, we will close when saving. Okay. But normally we want to evaluate. I'm sorry, to close before we save, just to be sure, right? Everything went well. Okay. So let me change this just to show you. Well, actually, I need to show you how to do that manually anyway. Okay, so this time we will do this manually. Okay, I'm not going to do it from here. Anyway, I can save it or reject that. That's okay. I haven't changed anything anyway. Okay, so since this was already evaluated, the next step, the status 3 should change to 5 when it's closed, right? So we normally have can be processed when it's not a mandatory characteristic, okay? This must be processed, of course, typically is one. The second is processed, right? Evaluated, and normally 5 processing is completed. Of course, when there is a skip, right, you will see status 4, okay? It's kind of complete, but through a skip process, okay? It means that you don't have any value because this characteristic was skipped, let's say. Okay, let me just evaluate this one. Okay, remember, sorry, let me close it. This is the valuation that it was already evaluated, so no point of selecting this evaluate again, right? And this is the close, right? So let me just close. Okay, it turned into a 5, which is what we have expected, right? And then, of course, we need to save. Keep in mind that when you save, you will see the I here with the Q, right? This is important. You need to see always this screen before you do anything else because otherwise you haven't saved anything, right? So this is important, okay? The system is not really saving it until you press the save and you see this screen here, okay? So if I want to do the QA11 now, right? I can go to QA11 transaction, or I can just double click here and I will be transported directly right to the inspection lot user decision. This is just a warning that we can turn into, of course, an error message if we want, but this is just a warning. It's just telling us that this order has not been completed or confirmed. And that's okay because we're in the middle of a process, right? This is an in process. So we normally disregard this. That's why it makes no sense to put this as an error message. Okay. Anyway, you can ignore this when it's an in process. So since there is no rejection, the characteristics are fine, right? Of course, you can navigate for all of them, right? All characteristic, but the typical one are related to the user decision, means that if anything is rejected, right? But in this case, everything went well, so nothing to see here. So user decision code for the 03 production, right? You go to accept. Keep in mind that there is no tab for, okay, let me press enter first before we jump into the other thing, okay? As I was mentioning, there is no additional tab for the movements, right? Again, this is non-stock relevant. It means that we're not gonna do any movement, okay? Of course, we see the sample number, right? And yeah, that's it, right? So there is nothing else to do here, okay? Let me just save it. And if we refresh, this inspection lot 51 should be gone. It's gone, okay? Because we don't have anything else to do with this inspection lot. It was closed, okay? You can see that in the QA, of course, 32, if we want. Let me go back. Still, yes. QA 32. Let me just check this material. Oh, of course it's not here because you need to select all inspection lot if you want, right? Or you can also put the batch, or you can just to select only that one, right? Or for example, CO3. You see in green the one we just processed, the 51. See this one, 351. Okay, so it's user decision, right? So it's finished. Excellent. Let's jump to the next and last step. Okay, the last step in this case, since we don't have an order good receipt for the finished good or semi-finished good in this case, right? Good receipt from order, right? The order is this one. And everything should be okay. Let me just check. Yeah, date of manufacture. Let me put today's date. Okay. And when we do this, right, when we save, the movement 101 will be executed. And of course, since we had set up the CO4, right, inspection type, we will have another inspection lot for the good received from production for this product, okay, which is different from the one we just did with the 03. So from the 03 perspective, we're already done, right? This is not necessarily connected. This operation is not connected to the other one, okay? So basically, I'm gonna do it just for the sake of, well, let me check first. Probably I will need to, yes, I did complete. I need to complete the characteristics in this case. This is depending on the definition, right? Definition of, as you can see, there are plenty of characteristics. Normally you do a more simple, let's say, class with less characteristics, okay? But in this case, we may initialize for a batch, okay? Yeah, this is the one that is mandatory and it's complaining about it. Okay, shouldn't be complaining anymore. Yes, perfect. It's always gonna say that. Okay, excellent. So we can just post. And that's it. It was posted. So we have the stock. And of course, if we can take a very quick look, MMBE. Now the stock is going to be in quality control or quality inspection, stock type, right? which is basically this 100, div 142. Okay, this is the one. You can double click if you want. Oh, sorry, no, not double click here. But anyway, this is the one because it won 100 kgs, right? Of course, if we want to check that, we can go back to the material document. That's another option, right? Let me double click just to check. Remember that in the material posted document, right, is the material that will tell you the details. Okay, so let me go here. Display material document. I assume it's this one. I forgot. Yes, it is. Okay, today's date, 100 kgs. So you can see basically everything that you did, right? The order, the batch, right? 142, like I was saying. Okay, so 142. This is the one, and it's in quality inspection now. So if we perform the inspection and we do this results recording and use the decision for this, it will be for the CO4. But that will be another video. We will see that we can do that at this time, and also we can do an error lot, and it will be can be created also when we create and release the process order. We will see that in a specific video. Thank you for watching, and please leave any comments if you want. Any feedback, positive, negative, is very much appreciated anyway, right? And please subscribe and share it with another colleagues if you want. Thank you very much.